Tonight I'm going to talk about ageing. Not the sugar-coated version, not the wrinkle cream ads. I'm going to talk about the real stuff, because ageing isn't for the faint of heart, but it's so worth it. Things that you find as you start to age. The first thing you notice is that your body starts to change. You find you've got sags and wrinkles in all places that you never thought you could have sags and wrinkles. But never mind, your energy then starts to fade. Your brain says go, but your body unfortunately says no. Another thing too that is quite sad is that you start to lose people. And by this I mean friends and family, and it's quite sad when you think that, you've reached a time when people are starting to pass away from natural causes. When you're a lot younger, you think, it's always as a result of some accident or something unforeseen. But as you get older, it sort of becomes one of those things that, you've got to take it in your stride, that people start to pass from natural causes. And then you have to start facing things that you never ever thought you'd have to. Often the day-to-day struggles sort of diminish, like work and kids and all things like that. But there's a different sort of struggle on a day-to-day basis as you get older. You've got to put up with doctor's visits. There's a whole new set of things, like with me coming up now, I've got to renew my driver's license because I'm going to be 75 at the end of the year. Now, you get a license here and you've got it indefinitely until you turn 75, and then you've got to go. You don't get to resit it. I think you've just got to have a medical examination just to prove that you're still fit to drive. So that's just another thing that you've got to think about. The other thing too is that you've got to start thinking about wills and all that sort of stuff, which it's a good idea actually to do it when you're younger. But a lot of people put it off. They don't want to face the reality that they should, prepare a will, sort out their affairs just in case something happens. But as you get older, it doesn't become an option. It really becomes a necessity. Especially if you're like me, you don't have a husband or a partner, then you've got to start making sure that things are sorted out so that in the event that you pop your clogs, you've got everything in order for the rest of the family. So that's one of the things that you've got to really think about. But the only thing is that you've got to remember that everything that pops up is just an opportunity to sort of stay strong and to be resilient and just to keep thinking, I'm getting older, but I'm not that old that I can't get on and do stuff. There are some things that you are faced with the reality of having to let go. It's not just the physical, there's the mental side of it as well. I mean, for a woman, for instance, you go through life once you get to maturity of being, of childbearing age. As you get older, you get to a stage where that time is gone. It's not that you're ever going to want to go back and have more children, but it's a stark reality when suddenly you can't. If, the option's just not there anymore. So you've really got to just face that and think, okay, my childbearing days are over. In a way, you've got to learn to forgive things. You can't just keep carrying around grudges for the rest of your life. It doesn't serve any purpose. It's wasted energy, and you're better off putting that time into positive things rather than feeling that, you're holding grudges and all that sort of stuff. You've got to adapt. You have to start adapting to the fact that you aren't as physically able, that you're maybe not quite as mentally as sharp as you used to be. There's always plenty of things that you can do to make sure that you do stay mentally sharp. And, there's lots of things that you can do to ensure that you do keep that sharpness. And also the same thing is too with your physical. You don't have to sort of be out running marathons or anything like that, but there's certain things that you can do to keep your body supple, to keep it active, instead of it sort of seizing up on you and thinking, oh my God, every time I get up I'm struggling to get anywhere. You've got to make an effort to reach out to yourself and make sure that you do some sort of regular exercise to keep your muscles and your joints and all that, working away there. And you start learning to find joys in new ways. Because often when you retire and as you're getting older, you're sort of fairly not altogether confined to the home, but you spend more time at home. And often you don't get out and about to see things going on around you. And the thing is that I've found that I really start appreciating the small things in life. The things that I enjoy now is I love a sunrise. I love the sunset. I like to go out sometimes and just watch the moon and the stars. And they've been there for 70 odd years, 74 years. But you just take it for granted, and sometimes it's just really nice just to sit outside and look up at the moon, look at the stars, and just appreciate what we've got here, and to try and sort of take in all those views, because you realise that there's not going to be a huge amount of them in the future. The thing is too that I find that ageing gives you gifts that you perhaps weren't aware of before. You get a certain amount of wisdom. You seem to think more clearly about things. You seem to have a bit more time to analyse the simple things. And that to me I find is very rewarding when I think about things that you go through life just taking for granted. And then when you actually stop and think about them and what you're gaining in the knowledge and the wisdom from the things that you've done over the years, you're really, another thing too, and this is something I keep thinking about with my mum. I used to get so embarrassed when I'd go out with my mum sometimes. You learn to not care what other people think. I would take my mum out and we would be sitting there having coffee, or we'd be doing something, and Mum would say something and I'd say, shh, keep your voice down, keep your voice down. I don't care. And she wasn't being abusive, but she was being observant. And she just said, that's what I think. I don't care. I can have my opinion. I don't care. And to a degree, she was right. You become less affected by what other people think about you. You think, if you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. If you don't like what I'm doing, that's fine. Just go off and do something else. But yeah, you do lose this feeling of, oh, if I do that, someone's not going to like me, or, oh, what will people think if I do that? Who cares? You just really don't care. And really you start living for you. I know through your life you spend so much time doing for others, and I know it's something that you want to keep on doing, but you can't just keep doing for others indefinitely. Sometimes you've got to just think, no, I'm going to live for me. I haven't got a lot of time left. What I've got, I'm going to really enjoy, and I'm going to make the most of the time that I've got. You do laugh louder. That's one thing I've found. It's good to have a good belly laugh now and again. I know when I was younger, I always had a sense of humour, so I would always find the funny side in anything. And it's the same now. I'm always, if something happens, I'll always see the funny side of it, and I enjoy to get a good belly laugh out of it. I don't sort of have a wee sort of chuckle to myself. No, I'm quite happy to get out and have a good laugh about it. So that's something there. When I say about you learn to appreciate things like the sunrise and the sunset, I think too about, the birds and the trees and the flowers. Every time I go to the park or anything like that, I like to stop if I see a nice wildflower, or I hear a bird, or I see something like that. I like to just stop and observe and listen and just enjoy that moment. It's really lovely just to be able to appreciate the things that for so long you let go on around you, and you just forget about them. You don't forget, you just ignore them. But it's really good to take a conscious effort to start thinking about things and observing things, and I get a lot of pleasure out of that. And it's something that I do now, more so now that I'm getting older, than I ever used to do when I was younger. Sadly, you look in the mirror, every time you look in the mirror, you think, oh God, there's another wrinkle, or my gooseneck's getting a bit saggy, or, oh, my eyelids need a lift. I don't care anymore. I'm never going to be wanting to enter beauty pageants, never have been, and I'm prepared to accept the fact that everything starts to move south as you get older. And your face and your neck and your boobs and everything starts to move south. But I don't fight it. I actually embrace it. Even I said, that it's not for the faint of heart. You have to be prepared to accept that these things are going to happen. But it's really worth it. It's really worth it. And I always think to myself, as people are getting older, don't dwell on the fact that you are getting older. Just embrace it and enjoy it and love everything about it, because there's so much to enjoy, so much to love about, life and things like that. And a good thing too is to try and put outside things away from your thought patterns for a while. I know there's lots of things going on around the world and people are affected by different things, but it's really good just to take some time and just enjoy what you've got. Be thankful for what you've got, and just for a wee while, just forget about the future. Don't worry about what's going to happen around the corner. Just really start to enjoy what you've got, and embrace the fact that we are getting older. I've never been one of these that sort of want to be a 90-year-old with nips and tucks all over me, that I'm sort of like a sack of chaff or anything like that. So I'm just happy. I'm happy being as I am, and hopefully I'll get a few more years to be happy just being like I am. Just enjoy the things around you. When you see funny things, laugh at funny things, enjoy funny things. Just enjoy the good things of life, because there's no better time now to really enjoy the things that are going on around you, and thinking, I'm going to make the most of it while I can, because you never quite know how much more you've got. So that's one of the things that I'd just like to encourage people, is to just make sure that you stay happy. You look forward to what tomorrow's going to bring. Don't worry about what you look like when you look in the mirror. You can't fight it. So anyway, that's my little thoughts on aging. So on that note, I would like to thank everybody that's visited my channel. If it's the first time you've been here, thank you for dropping by. If you've been here before, thank you for popping back and seeing me. And I would like to, at this stage, wish you all a happy weekend. Stay safe, take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Okay, bye.